bookish friends, welcome or welcome back. I am Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, and today I'm going to tell you about a few short horror novellas that I would recommend to you. Also, I have an announcement to make at the end of this video, so hang in if you're interested in seeing what that is about. The mystery, the intrigue, the suspense. So I have this pile here of these books. Actually, a couple of these I didn't like, but I'm going to tell you about them anyway because maybe you'll like them. But most of these I really liked, and so I want to recommend them to you. Our setup's a little bit different today. It is storming outside, or it's about to anyway. It's dark in here, so I have to find the light. And that is what I've tried to do, but I don't know how successful I am. If you like book recommendation videos like this, vlogs, wrap-ups, things of that nature, and you haven't yet subscribed, I would appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. I'll also link all of my social medias over here in case you want to catch me somewhere else. So let's get into these books before it starts like tornadoing in front of me. The first one I want to talk to you about is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. I always want to say since last we spoke. I don't know why. This is by Larocca. If you haven't read this one yet, this is a really good short horror novella. We're following these two women in the early 2000s. They meet online in this chat room. One of them is trying to sell her, I think it's an apple peeler. It's like a vintage apple peeler, and they get to talking and they make connections. There is some like body horror in here for sure, but it's not to the level of like The Troop. But there's definitely some really disgusting things happening here. They end up forming a relationship, these two women, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. It's like a psychological horror as well as a body horror. It's a lot of fun. This is just about at 100 pages, I think. Yeah, just over 100 pages. The formatting is really cool because there's a lot of back and forth on their computers, in the chat room. Also at the very beginning, we get this perspective. I believe it's like a case file from the police department, so you know like something goes wrong here. At the very set out, you know that something goes really, really wrong. I really liked it. So definitely recommend this. Let's move on. This one you probably haven't heard of. The Last Case at a Baggage Auction by Eric J. Guignard. I just randomly found this on Amazon. I think I was looking for novellas. This is set in Detroit, so it piqued my interest because I'm from that area. It's set in 1963 Detroit. You have these two guys, two friends, and it's kind of like storage wars. These two guys go to these baggage auctions. So instead of it being like a storage container auction, it's hotels and things where people have left their luggage over the years and people can come and bid on them. So they bid on this bag and open it up, and it's a gramophone. They start listening to it. They turn on these like records, or I don't even know what they're called for gramophones, but they turn them on and they start listening to the music that comes with it. And it's haunting, hypnotizing, and they get drawn into this and they start behaving in these really weird ways. And then it just turns it like the gramophone has a life of its own. It ends up being connected to this historical figure, which I won't tell you who it is because that would spoil it. It's so short as it is. How long is this book? About 140 pages. And there's also artwork interspersed in here, which is really cool, that are just kind of fun to find as you go through. But the historical figure that this is connected to is someone who is known to have kind of tampered with the dark arts, let's say. You all know who they are. They're a well-known figure. It's haunting, and it gets really dark, and it gets creepy. It's very much got this like haunting, seance-y kind of vibe to it, and this gramophone is just the center of it all. It is what sucks them into its power. Like, it's very eerie. The next book I want to talk about is another really short one. I don't even think this one's 100 pages. Yeah, this one's only about 75 pages. Blanky by Kealan Burke. I really like Kealan Burke's writing. His writing is very smart, just really thoughtful and well written, bordering on pretentious, but I like that. If you don't, you probably won't like this. This is a story about Denver. Do you have to keep going in and out? Like, what are you doing, sir? So this is a story about this couple, and they are divorcing, they're breaking up. They unfortunately had a baby and lost the baby. They don't know really what happened. They're assuming, I think they were assuming it was SCRIBD, but they're really not sure. So they're separated now, and we're following the dad as he is living in the house that they all lived in together and struggling, grieving, everything that you might think. It's actually really sad at the very beginning. Anyway, he hears the sound from one of the rooms upstairs, so he goes to investigate, thinking, did somebody break into my house? Like, what's going on here? And he goes into this room, which I believe used to be his child's room, and he finds her security blanket, her little baby blanket. You know, sets him off, but not for the reasons that you might think. The reason that it's strange is because they buried that blanket with their child. That's really all you need to know about this one. It gets interesting from there as he tries to investigate why this blanket has shown up, where it came from, how it got there, etc. This is dark at times, a little slow at certain parts, but generally I thought it had a really cool vibe to it. I liked the idea of it, and it's a super quick read. The next book I want to talk to you about I recently read, and that is Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This is what Ruth Ware's Turn of the Key is based on. This is a classic at this point. So this one I struggled with a lot. I think this is set in like Regency times because of the way they're behaving. Basically, you have this governess. She's hired to govern these two children, teach them whatever. But the way everybody interacts is very much high society, and so when they're talking to each other, they're never straightforward. It reminds me of Jane Austen, although I feel like Jane Austen's writing is much more approachable. But in that sense of like how they behave with each other, they're not saying what they're saying. They're saying what is appropriate while also trying to put in what they want to say, but in a way that is polite, in a way that is good company. You know what I mean? But on top of that, like Henry James's writing style itself is daunting. It's very daunting. He has run-on sentences where he starts with one thought and then mid-sentence goes to some other thing completely and then comes back around to it. So you really, really have to pay attention. That being said, this is kind of a ghost story surrounding this governess and these two children, a boy and a girl. They are so beautiful to her. Like, she thinks they can do no wrong, and it's almost like they're sirens where they have this like power over her. They're just the perfect creatures. And then she starts learning about their past and like who was the governess before her and the people that worked in the house before her. She thinks that these children are in danger from the ghosts of the people in their past. And so this whole book, she is struggling to save them, to protect them from these ghosts, but the children don't know what's happening. And so it's one of those things where you don't know if this is an unreliable narrator or not. And even after the book is done, you still don't know. But that is why I really liked this. It took me a while to sit, like honestly, it was hard to get through, but after I sat on it, after I thought about it, I really ended up liking how this book was left. It's open-ended, so if you don't like that, you may not like this, but it definitely makes you think back on all of the things that happened in the story and think, well, did that actually happen? Could that have actually happened? Or was it not true? And you don't know. It's left up to you to decide what you think was real and what wasn't real. And I really love that about it because it could go either way, and honestly just it's all up to you and your interpretation of how you read this. So I think it's just really clever, definitely stood the test of time, and I understand why. And though this may not be as approachable as some of these other book recommendations, if you're interested, I would say give it a go. It's short, you know, it's 140 pages, something like that. So that is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Next is a little bit on the longer side, but this is one of my absolute favorites, and that is Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. This is right at about 200 pages. Translated work, it is so good. It is set in a dystopian world where we can no longer eat the flesh of animals. There's some kind of sickness that happened that basically poisoned the flesh of all the animals, and so humans can no longer eat animals. And so in this world, society shifts to a place where they now eat other humans. They raise humans for that specific purpose. They have slaughterhouses. It's a full industry, as we have for pigs, cows, everything else now. Adding a human face to these animals and showing these practices. We're basically following one man who works in the industry, and has had to kind of adjust to the new situation, the new society. But the world building in here is so amazing, how she connects it to everyday things that we do. My friend Courtney just did a reading vlog reading this book, and she does a really, really good job of explaining the writing. I'll link her video down below if you're interested. But she doesn't have to be super gruesome when she's describing these things. It's actually very to the point, but just the mere idea of switching and flipping the switch, talking about doing these things to humans as opposed to doing them to animals, really forces you to empathize with them by putting a human face on them. And it's disgusting, but it's so effective. So if you haven't read this one yet, I definitely recommend this. It's a dystopia, so it's got a lot to say about society and how we live our lives, and I just thought it was amazing. So there's that one. Okay, and I have one more that I'm going to recommend to you, and that is The Grownup by Gillian Flynn. I love Gillian Flynn. This is the shortest in this list. I think it's about 60 pages. It's a ghost story. It says on the back, do you like ghost stories? We're following this woman. It's just a super quick read, but it has all of the best things that Gillian Flynn does that I love about her. It's got a great twist at the end. It's got amazing description and simile in here, and it makes you think. In this one, we're following this woman who used to be a sex worker, but she realized that she's really good at kind of picking up on signals and reading people. And so she decides to try out her hand at being like a fortune teller. And this woman comes in and is desperate for help. She asks her to come back to her house because there's something going on with her house and her son. And this is another one that's kind of left open-ended at the end, where you have to decide what you think is real and what is not real, but it's got a really cool twist. And yeah, I actually think this is kind of a contemporary of this, but not. Like they do have some similarities in there. These next two books I didn't like, but I think a lot of people do, so you might like them as well. First is Come From Me with Apples by Catherynne and Valente. This one, I just didn't like the twist here. It's basically about this woman who lives in this like perfect neighborhood. They have all of these rules throughout. They give you a list of the rules of the neighborhood. It's very kind of eerie. She is perfect for her husband and they were made for each other and she loves him so much, but then she starts noticing things that aren't right and she starts wondering what's going on. And if I told you the part that I didn't like about this, I would spoil it for you, so I really can't do that. But overall, I just like, I was curious as to like what it was actually trying to say. And I think I started to understand that after talking to people about it, but I just didn't really quite agree with it and what it was trying to say, I guess. So it didn't quite work for me, but I know there are a lot of people that have enjoyed this book. So if you are intrigued, you know, maybe it's something that you would like. This is just at 100 pages. So very quick, short read. And then the last one is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. This was on my worst list of last year, actually. But again, there are a lot of people who quite enjoyed this. It is steeped in Japanese folklore. Definitely if you don't know a lot about Japanese folklore, look it up as you go because there's words in here that are confusing. So part of that is just me like not understanding that the references in there, but also on top of that, I just didn't really like the writing. I felt like it was pretentious in a way that I don't like. Like, I don't know how to explain the pretentious that I like and the pretentious that I don't like. But this one, it seemed like it was using big words just for the sake of using them. Like, they didn't necessarily add to the story. It just felt like the author wrote this in order to figure out who her smartest friends were. Like, if you get it, then you're in the club. And I felt like I was not in the club. Also within that, the plot, this is like a haunted house story, but like there were so many opportunities for them to leave, and the whole time it was just really frustrating for me for them to be in this story, the characters in here, and not make any smart choices. Like the dumbest choices were made and it was very frustrating. But some people, again, did really enjoy this. Obviously, this cover is gorgeous. So yeah, that might be something you're interested in. On to the announcement you have been waiting for. And the reason I've been showing you some short horror books is because this relates to a readathon, and readathons are perfect for novellas. You can get through them quickly. And this particular readathon is the third round of Thrill Till the Weekend, hosted by Jacqueline over at her channel, Jacqueline. Thrill to the Weekend is a 3-day readathon where we get together and read as many thriller, horror, mystery, true crime books as we possibly can. I co-hosted the last round as well, so I'm super excited to be included again for this readathon. Jacqueline does such an awesome job of just making it really interactive and fun. So this round's a little bit different. Instead of, even though it's called Thrill Till the Weekend, we are going to be thrilling during the weekend for this round. So it is going to be happening May 27th through 29th. I will also be joined by several other amazing co-hosts, including Marcy from Marcy Reads, Lauren from Lauren Love Reads, Kat from Kat Chats, Beth from Beth's All Booked, Cindy from Oodles of Books, and Jordan from Sorry Booked Solid, and I'm really excited. We're gonna have such a blast with this, so let me tell you about the details. Denver, do less. Do less. There is a Discord associated with this readathon, so I'm gonna link that down below. We've been chit-chatting in the Discord already, so don't feel like you have to wait to join it. There's a ton of like great people in there and we just have a lot of fun chit-chatting. There is only one prompt for this readathon, and that is read a book in isolation. So isolation is kind of the theme here. We also have a buddy read. That will be The Missing by Kiersten Modglin, kind of adding to that isolation vibe. And we're going to have a group movie watch. And for the movie watch, that'll be taking place Friday night, and that'll be In the Tall Grass. This is an adaptation based on the book, which is another really good short horror book. Oh my gosh, why didn't I mention that? Definitely would be a perfect one to read for the readathon as well. So Friday, May 27th, we'll all get together on Discord, we'll all push play at the same time, and we will watch In the Tall Grass. We're gonna be watching that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time together, which is why you need to get in the Discord. This also falls on Jacqueline's birthday weekend. So on Saturday, we're going to have a live show. We're going to be playing games. All of the co-hosts will be there. And some of us are going to have different games to play and just kind of have fun together celebrating Jacqueline's birthday. Sunday, we are going to be discussing the buddy read. I believe Jordan is going to be hosting that on the Discord. We'll discuss The Missing, see what everyone thought about that. And I think that's a relatively short book too, so it should be quick to get through for the weekend. A couple of other things. There is merch available for this if you're interested. Again, the link will be down below. Lastly, there's also a giveaway. So if you want to participate, there is a giveaway channel on the Discord. You can enter your name in to win a $50 book shopping spree. The perks, they just keep coming. So if you are interested, again, all of the information is going to be down below for you. Check it out. I'm gonna be vlogging it as we go through the weekend. It should be a really fun, fast time. I think these shorter readathons are perfect for me because it's not so long that I kind of lose steam as I go. It's just a weekend of fun where we get to all join together, chit chat, read, and discuss it. And I think that about covers it for the readathon. So I hope to see you guys there. I hope you participate with me. It should be a blast. And that's gonna be it for me today. So I hope you guys join us for the readathon. Don't forget that life is short, so read Riley. Cheers and goodbye!